Tanzania is home to an ancient tribe that has lived there for tens of thousands of years without electricity, without participating in a modern market-based economy, and without viewing land ownership the way most of us do today. To them, the forest is not simply a resource. It is their home and a living memory passed down through generations. The forest not only provides food, but also teaches people how to observe, adapt, and survive. Every trail winding through the trees carries the footsteps of countless generations who have quietly and steadily traveled across this land. As they move deeper into the forest, one hunter suddenly hears a faint sound coming from the canopy above. Looking more closely, he notices branches gently shaking and fresh scratch marks on the bark. These signs reveal that a bush baby is hiding among the thick leaves. The Hadzabe know that this small animal is an agile climber, capable of making long leaps and nearly disappearing into the darkness. They immediately slow down, remain silent, and spread out to watch from different directions. When the animal moves onto a lower branch and exposes itself, one hunter quickly raises his bow. The arrow strikes before the bush baby can leap into another tree. The hunter carefully retrieves the prey and continues the journey. Continuing the hunt, the men discover fresh wolf tracks in the soft ground. The prints lead toward an area of low brush, suggesting that the animal passed through only moments earlier. The group quietly moves forward while carefully checking the wind to avoid being detected. Once the distance is right, one hunter slowly raises his bow. The arrow leaves the string and strikes the animal. Although hit, the wolf immediately runs into the tall grass. Knowing the poison will take effect gradually, the Hadzabe patiently follow its path instead of rushing after it. After covering some distance, the animal begins to weaken in the grass, and the hunters quickly move closer. However, bringing down prey on the savanna does not mean the danger is over. The scent of the animal and the sounds of the hunt can attract other predators. When a lion appears nearby, the atmosphere changes immediately. The Hadzabe do not panic. They keep their distance, work together, and closely watch every movement of the lion to protect the food they worked so hard to obtain. This is not reckless behavior, but a decision shaped by the need to survive. To them, it is not a battle between humans and wild animals, but an encounter between two predators sharing the same land. After a long day of searching for food, everyone returns to camp with the results of their hard work. The animals are cleaned and divided among the families. No written rules are needed because sharing has long been part of their way of life. Dinner is also a time when generations gather together to exchange hunting experiences and lessons about survival. While many societies measure wealth by the possessions people accumulate, the Hadzabe believe true wealth lies in the ability to share with others. When dinner ends, singing and dancing begin. Laughter and conversation fill the air around the fire, bringing another long day on the savannah to a close. Their lives may be simple, but within that simplicity there is genuine joy. Although they lack many modern comforts, the Hadzabe possess treasures of enormous value. Strong community bonds, deep respect for nature, and happiness found in life's simplest moments. Perhaps it is the songs sung around the fire at sunset that have helped this small community endure for centuries. They remind us that happiness may not be found in what we own, but in the people with whom we share our lives at the end of each day.
The sun had just risen above the horizon, casting its first gentle golden rays across the African savanna. Amid this peaceful landscape, I followed the Hadzabe, one of the last remaining hunter-gatherer communities still preserving humanity's ancestral way of life. For them, each new day is not merely a journey to find food, but also a test of survival against nature, where even the smallest mistake can cost a person their life. In the small camp, the Hadzabe men sat together around a crackling fire. Silently, they inspected each bough, straightened the bowstrings, and sharpened arrows coated with poisonous sap extracted from the adenium plant. The flickering flames reflected off their sun-weathered faces and the calm eyes of these seasoned hunters. This was a familiar ritual before every hunting expedition, marking the beginning of a day in which the entire community placed its hopes in their skill. When everything was ready, the group quietly left the camp and made their way into the vast savanna. The air was almost completely still, broken only by the soft sound of footsteps brushing against the ground and the distant songs of birds. The Hadzabe studied every footprint pressed into the sand, listened to the slightest movement, and sensed the direction of the wind as though it were pure instinct. They did not hunt with haste, but with patience, for in the wild, opportunities reveal themselves only for a few fleeting seconds. Before long, a troop of baboons appeared in the distance, completely absorbed in foraging. Without exchanging a single word, the hunters lowered themselves in unison and slipped through the thorny bushes like silent shadows. I could hear almost nothing except the pounding of my own heartbeat. Then, in an instant, the decisive moment arrived. At the sound of a brief whistle, the entire group surged forward. Their arrows flew from the bowstrings almost simultaneously, slicing through the air with astonishing speed. Within moments, the prey collapsed onto the savanna. Joy spread across everyone's faces, yet there was no celebration or display of pride. They simply smiled, patted one another on the shoulder, and bowed their heads in respect for the animal that had given its life. To the Hadzabe, hunting is not merely about victory, but also about expressing gratitude to nature for providing the gift of sustenance. After the hunt, the group ventured deeper into the forest. One of the men smiled and said that today would be a day for honey. Those few words alone instantly filled the air with excitement. For the Hadzabe, honey is not only an energy-rich food, but also the most precious gift the forest can offer. They stopped beside an ancient tree with a tiny hollow that was almost impossible to notice. Had I been alone, I would never have imagined that a large beehive was hidden inside. Dry branches were quickly gathered and lit to produce a gentle stream of smoke that calmed the bees. The hunter then carefully widened the opening with a series of precise strikes. As the golden honeycomb gradually came into view, he bent down and placed his mouth directly beneath the flowing honey, calmly savoring it even as bees continued to crawl across his face. The laughter of the children echoed through the forest as glistening pieces of honeycomb were carefully removed from the tree. Thick golden honey flowed between their fingers, carrying the rich fragrance of wildflowers and a sweetness that was deeper and purer than any honey I had ever tasted. In that moment, I understood why the Hadzabe have always regarded honey as a source of life, inseparable from their memories and traditions across countless generations. As dusk painted the savanna in shades of purple, everyone returned to the camp with the rewards of a long day. Baboon meat was roasted over glowing coals beside freshly harvested honeycomb. There were no modern cooking pots or elaborate seasonings, only fire, stone, and hands that had lived in harmony with nature for a lifetime. The lightly charred pieces of meat were brushed with a thin layer of honey, creating a rich, sweet, and unmistakably wild flavor that I knew I would never forget. As night slowly fell, everyone gathered around the fire, recounting the day's hunt with hearty laughter while the children listened intently, as though receiving their very first lessons about life. Sitting beneath the flickering firelight in a sky filled with stars, I suddenly realized that I had not merely witnessed an ordinary hunt. I had been given the rare opportunity to experience a way of life that has endured for tens of thousands of years, a life in which people continue to live in harmony with nature in its purest and most authentic form. Between the arid lands surrounding Lake Eyasi in Tanzania, the Hadza people continue to preserve a way of life that has endured for tens of thousands of years. They are among the very few remaining hunter-gatherer communities in the world, where nature is both the source of survival and the greatest teacher. Rather than accumulating wealth or trying to conquer the natural world, they spend each day learning to adapt to whatever this land provides. Every hunt begins in an atmosphere of almost complete silence. The hunters crouch low, their footsteps barely disturbing the grass as they study even the faintest signs. Today, their target is a swift and highly alert wildcat. When an arrow leaves the bow and strikes the animal, it does not collapse immediately, but disappears into the thick brush. For the Hadza, this is exactly what they expect. Their arrows are often coated with poison derived from native plants, a toxin that does not kill the prey instantly, but gradually weakens it, allowing the hunters to patiently follow its trail. Nature is not generous every day. When larger game cannot be found, they readily turn to hunting birds or smaller animals instead. Although these catches provide only modest amounts of meat, every opportunity helps supply the energy they need to survive. Rather than placing all their hopes on a single hunt, the Hadza reduce risk by pursuing multiple smaller targets. It is this strategy that helps ensure their survival in an ever-changing environment.
He's filling in.
Some days are even more demanding, especially when the target is a large monitor lizard living near a water source or hidden deep inside hollow trees. These powerful reptiles can fight back fiercely, so the hunters always keep a safe distance, observe carefully, and approach only when they are certain the animal can no longer defend itself. To them, hunting is not a race of speed, but a lesson in patience and self-control. While the men make their way through the forest, the women at camp quietly carry out responsibilities that are no less important. They dig for edible roots, gather wild fruits, prepare food, and care for the children. These daily routines form the stable foundation of the entire community. The children grow up surrounded by nature, watching the adults every day and learning survival skills as a natural part of life rather than through formal lessons. point, one of the most memorable hunts is the pursuit of a kudu antelope. The lead hunter kneels beside a fresh footprint, carefully examines it, then picks up a piece of fresh dung to determine how recently the animal passed by. Every footprint, every blade of flattened grass, and even a tiny drop of blood becomes a valuable clue. When the final arrow strikes its target, the antelope still charges forward with astonishing speed. The chase continues until the exhausted animal finally comes to a stop in the open savanna. Only then do the hunters move in to complete the hunt safely. On their way back, one of the hunters suddenly discovers a wild beehive hidden inside the trunk of a large tree. With just a few skillful swings of an axe, golden sheets of beeswax and streams of glistening honey are revealed. The honey is shared immediately, providing a precious source of energy after the long journey. When the antelope is brought back to camp, the entire community quickly gathers together. Without anyone giving instructions, everyone knows exactly what to do. The meat is divided into portions, then roasted over the fire or cooked into a simple soup. Everyone sits together in a circle, passing food from one person to another and sharing the meal. Songs, rhythmic clapping, and ancient stories fill the air around the fire, preserving the community's collective memory from one generation to the next. The Hadzabe's way of life is not the result of never having encountered the modern world, but of choosing to preserve the values that have sustained their ancestors for thousands of years. They take only what they truly need from nature, share generously within the community, and avoid unnecessary accumulation. In a world that is constantly chasing more, faster, and bigger, the Hadzabe way of life invites us to reflect on a profound question. Perhaps happiness is found not in possessing more, but in living in harmony with nature and appreciating the things that matter most.
Dawn gradually spread across the savanna and sparse woodland, bringing the cool air of a new day. A herd of wild boars left their resting place and slowly moved across the grasslands and low bushes in search of food, constantly using their snouts to dig through the soft soil for roots, tubers, and small creatures beneath the ground. Back at the camp, the tribal hunters also woke early to prepare for the day's hunt. They carefully checked their bows, arrows, knives, and ropes to ensure every tool was ready for the journey ahead. After completing their preparations, the entire group quietly left the camp and headed into the vast savanna to begin another day of hunting in the wilderness. The tribal hunters crossed wide grasslands and sparse woodland while carefully examining every animal track left in the soil. Before long, they discovered fresh footprints along with patches of recently disturbed earth. Following these signs, they soon found a herd of wild boars foraging beneath low bushes. The boars constantly rooted through the ground, moved in small groups, and repeatedly looked around their surroundings. The hunters stopped at a safe distance, silently observing the herd's movements and studying the terrain. After identifying a favorable position, they split into several groups and quietly prepared to approach their targets. One adult wild boar gradually became separated from the herd while busily digging for food near an open patch of ground. Using tall grass and small trees as cover, the tribal hunters silently closed the distance without making any noise. When the boar reached a favorable position, one hunter quickly drew his bow and fired the first arrow. Wounded, the wild boar immediately sprinted across the grassland and thick bushes at remarkable speed. The hunters relentlessly pursued it while repeatedly firing more arrows at the fleeing animal. After being struck by several arrows, the boar gradually weakened, slowed down, and finally collapsed. The hunters quickly approached and secured their prey.
Yeah, go I think.
While the men continued hunting across the savannah, the women left the camp carrying their familiar digging tools to search for wild tubers. They walked across patches of soft soil and gradually unearthed many tubers buried deep beneath the ground. After gathering enough, they headed back to the camp. Along the way, they also collected dry branches and small pieces of firewood to use as fuel. Upon returning, several women immediately lit the fire, cleaned the dirt from the tubers, and placed them in the hot embers to roast. While waiting for the tubers to finish roasting, the others walked to a nearby water source and filled their gourds before carrying them back to the camp. Once the roasted tubers were ready, everyone enjoyed a small portion to satisfy their hunger while continuing to wait for the hunting party to return. Before long, the hunters emerged from the savannah carrying the wild boar they had successfully captured. The animal was securely tied with ropes and carried in turns across the grasslands, rocky outcrops, and sparse woodland along familiar trails. Throughout the journey back, everyone remained alert for dangerous predators. Upon reaching the camp, the wild boar was placed in the food preparation area, ready for the tribe's meal. Back at the camp, the tribe began preparing the freshly hunted wild boar. The meat was divided into several portions, with some placed into clay pots to cook with water while the rest was skewered on wooden sticks and roasted over the fire. Everyone took turns adding firewood, adjusting the glowing coals, and turning the meat until it became evenly browned. Once the meal was ready, the tribe gathered together to enjoy the freshly cooked wild boar along with the roasted wild tubers prepared earlier. As they ate, they talked about the day's hunt and shared valuable experience for future expeditions. The savanna gradually returned to its peaceful rhythm, bringing another day of hunting and tribal life in the vast wilderness to a close.
Across the vast savannas of northern Tanzania, the Hadzabe still maintain a hunter-gatherer way of life that has changed very little from that of their ancestors tens of thousands of years ago. Each day begins with a journey into the wild in search of food. Yet what has helped this small community survive through countless generations is not only their hunting skills or their ability to recognize edible plants in the forest. More importantly, it is the way they share everything they have with those around them. Today, we will follow the Hadzabe and discover how this tribe continues to preserve an ancient way of life in the heart of the wild. In the harsh lands of Africa, the Hadzabe survive through strong unity and a deep spirit of sharing. Before the sun rises high, the men begin preparing for the hunt. They check their bows, adjust the strings, and inspect handmade arrows crafted from hardwood with small metal tips. Every movement carries knowledge passed down through generations. When hunting large animals, the arrowheads are often coated with a small amount of poison taken from native plants or insects. This poison does not bring the animal down immediately. Instead, it weakens the prey slowly over time, allowing the hunters to calmly follow its tracks rather than risk a dangerous face-to-face confrontation. Once everything is ready, the group quietly leave the camp and disappears into thorny bushes. Another day of survival begins. Before long, they spot the first signs on the ground. Fresh tracks are clearly marked in the soft soil, alongside patches of earth that have just been dug up. The Hadzabe immediately slowed down, bending close to study every small detail before moving forward. The distance between them and the animal grows shorter.
Behind the low thorn bushes, a wild boar is quietly searching for food. The hunters quickly spread out, silently narrowing its escape routes. No one speaks. Every movement is guided by eye contact and familiar hand gestures. One hunter slowly draws his bow, holds still for a few seconds, and releases the arrow. Struck by the shot, the wild boar instantly charges through the dry grass. The Hadzabe understand that a wounded animal is often more dangerous than a healthy one. So instead of rushing after it, they calmly study the deep tracks in the dirt and the broken branches along its path. After following the trail for some distance, the poison on the arrow begins to take effect. The animal gradually weakens, then finally collapses in the grassland. The first hunt of the day has succeeded. Instead of carrying the whole animal back to camp, the Hadzabe usually process it on the spot. The internal organs are removed, and the meat is cut into pieces small enough to carry easily. Nearby, a small fire is quickly started. Some of the meat is placed directly over the hot coals to roast, while the rest is prepared for cooking in a pot. What makes this moment special is that the first pieces of meat do not belong only to the hunter who hit the target. Everyone sits together, shares the food, and eats right where the hunt has ended. For the Hadzabe, success is never the achievement of one person alone. The tracker, the watcher, the helper, and the archer all contribute to the shared meal. That is why food is shared from the very first bite. Leaving the hunting area, the group continues deeper into forest to search for another food source the Hadzabe deeply value. In front of a large ancient tree, they stop and inspect the hollow inside the trunk. One hunter lights a bundle of dry grass and gently directs the smoke into the opening to calm the bees. After patiently waiting, he slowly reaches inside and pulls out golden honeycombs dripping with fresh honey. The honey is carefully collected in the small bucket they brought along. For the Hadzabe, honey is a valuable source of energy, helping them quickly recover after hours of walking under the sun. But just like the meat they hunt, the honey does not belong only to the person who found it. When they return to camp, it will be shared with relatives, children, and the entire community.
An arrow leaves the bowstring. There are no gunshots, no engines, and no modern equipment supporting them from behind. There are only eyes locked on the target, while the entire savanna seems to fall silent before a moment of survival. The prey suddenly makes a sound. The Hadzabe men immediately spread out, blocking each possible escape route with calm precision. To them, this is not a hunt meant for display. This is how one of the last hunter-gatherer communities on Earth continues to live in the wild, where every meal must be earned through experience, speed, and instinct. In this land, nature does not wait for anyone. A footprint can disappear after a single gust of wind. And one delayed decision can send the whole group back empty-handed. The Hadzabe understand this better than anyone. They do not enter the savanna with haste, but with an almost instinctive ability to observe. A broken branch, a patch of grass pressed flat, a faint sound coming from the bushes. All of it can become a clue. To them, this is the living map of nature, where every trace tells the story of prey that has just passed through. Before every hunt, their weapons are not taken from a factory. They are made from the raw materials found around them. Layer by layer, the wood is carved and carefully shaped until the bow reaches the curve it needs. The arrows are straightened, fitted with bird feathers to keep their flight steady, then held over fire for one final finish. Some arrowheads are treated with poisonous tree resin, turning these small weapons into highly effective hunting tools. Every string, every arrow shaft, and every sharpened edge carries the experience of generations who survived by the work of their own hands. Once everything is ready, the monkey hunt led by the seasoned hunters officially begins. Monkeys are fast, intelligent, and extremely alert. They can sense danger from the smallest sound, then quickly move out of range before an arrow can reach them. That is why the Hadzabe cannot afford to rush. They quietly watch every movement of the prey. At a signal from the leader, within a few tense seconds, the bow is raised and the arrow is drawn. The shot itself lasts only a brief moment, but behind it are patience, experience, and the precise coordination of the entire group. The Hadzabe do not only hunt on dry land. At times, they also face crocodiles hidden beneath the mud and the still surface of the water. A crocodile can remain motionless for a long time, revealing only its eyes and a small part of its snout above the surface. Before approaching, the hunters carefully study the riverbank. They keep a safe distance, move slowly, and stay constantly alert. When the right moment appears, a sharp arrow flies through the air and strikes straight into the target. Hunting a crocodile does not only demand strength, it also requires absolute calm, because this is one of the most dangerous encounters between human beings and the wild. For the Hadzabe, nature is not only a place that tests human beings. It is also a vast source of food for those who know how to listen and recognize its signs. After a long day of hunting, the fire is finally lit. The meat is prepared in different ways, divided into portions, and shared with everyone around. There is no luxurious table and no modern equipment, but food always belongs to the community. Each piece of meat that is shared does more than feed the body. It helps keep the bond of the entire group alive. In the modern world, people can buy food with a single tap of a finger. But on the dry savanna, the Hadzabe still remind us that there was once a time when every meal was the result of observation, courage, and the ability to live in harmony with nature. They do not dominate this land with machines or overwhelming power. They survive by understanding it, respecting it, and adapting to even the smallest changes. Every footprint they follow, every arrow they craft, and every meal they share is part of an ancient story of survival that humanity once belonged to. And perhaps in that simple way of life, we can see most clearly what it means for human beings to live alongside nature.
Across the vast African savannas, the Hadzabe people still maintain a way of life that has changed very little over tens of thousands of years. They have no electricity, running water, or stored food. As one of the few remaining hunter-gatherer communities in the world, their mornings do not begin with comfort, but with a very practical question. What will nature provide today to help them keep surviving? Every day for the Hadzabe is filled with uncertainty. No one knows where the next meal will come from or whether the hunt will be successful. But for them, this is not just a way to survive. It is also a deep connection to the land that has fed their ancestors for generations. Each sunrise opens a new journey, testing their patience, experience, and ability to adapt. Before entering the savannah, Hadzabe men calmly prepare bows and arrows made from simple materials. Each bow is carefully carved, while the arrowheads are crafted with precision and coated with poison extracted from native plants. Every step requires long experience, because even one small mistake can cause the entire hunt to fail. For the Hadzabe, bows and arrows are not merely tools for finding food. They are the result of knowledge, skill, and observation passed down through many generations. The bow in their hands does not represent brute strength. Instead, it reflects a deep understanding of materials, prey, and the surrounding environment. When everything is ready, the hunters quietly leave the camp and begin following the tracks of an antelope herd across the dry ground. Along the way, they observe every fresh footprint, every newly bitten branch, and even the smallest signs that outsiders would easily overlook. No one rushes. They move slowly, remain silent, and read the ground like a familiar book. After many hours of tracking, the hunters finally get close to the prey. When the distance is close enough, an arrow leaves the bowstring, cuts through the air, and strikes the animal. But the hunt does not end with that single shot. The hunters continue watching calmly, knowing that the poison on the arrowhead needs time to take effect. Silently, they follow the blood trail, the footprints, and the direction in which the animal moved until they finally find the prey. For the Hadzabe, success is not only about an accurate shot, but also about patience and the experience to read every trace. While the men are hunting, women and children set out to search for wild tubers, forest fruits, and honey. This knowledge is not written in books. It is passed down naturally through every journey and every real experience. Children learn by watching adults recognize edible plants, find beehives, and understand what nature can provide to help the community get through each day. If the hunt is unsuccessful, wild tubers and honey become an important food source for the whole community. Thanks to this, the Hadzabe do not depend on only one type of food. When the sun sets, everyone returns to the camp with what they have gathered that day. Some days bring plenty, while others bring very little, but no one becomes easily disappointed. They understand that nature promises nothing and only gives what humans are able to receive. The meal is quickly prepared beside the fire. There are no complicated recipes or expensive spices, but every dish reflects the balance between humans and nature. Most importantly, food is always shared with the entire community, from the elderly to small children. This spirit of sharing has helped them survive through countless generations in a harsh environment. When night falls, the fire becomes the center of the camp, where people eat, talk, rest, and sometimes dance after a long day. For the Hadzabe, every hunt means far more than a single meal. It is also a living lesson for the next generation, showing that experience can be just as valuable as any weapon. They survive not by conquering nature, but by listening to it, adapting to it, and respecting it. If you found this story interesting, leave a comment about what impressed you most about the Hadzabe way of life.
As the first light of morning spread across the African savanna, the Hadzabe camp began to stir in its familiar silence. There were no machine sounds, no smoke from modern kitchens, and no stored food supplies. Everything they needed for a new day was out there, among the dry grass, animal tracks, and the faintest sounds of nature. For them, survival was not guaranteed, but a demanding task they had to patiently seek every day. Before leaving the camp, the men prepared their bows and arrows with familiar movements. They carved the wood into the shape of bows, tied the bowstrings firmly, straightened each arrow, and coated them with poison taken from tree sap. Those tools looked simple, but behind them was deep knowledge and experience passed down through generations. A bow that was too soft, an arrow that flew off course, or one careless step in preparation could put them in danger when facing a wild buffalo. Unlike small prey that can be chased more easily, the wild buffalo has a heavy body, great strength, and reactions extremely hard to predict from one moment to the next. The Hadzabe know they cannot rely only on strength to confront it directly. They must depend on silence, the ability to read tracks, and the exact timing of their approach. That is why the hunt does not begin with haste, but with slower, careful steps across the dry ground, where hoofprints remain after the long night. After hours of crossing dry grassland and low thorny bushes, they found a wild buffalo separated from the herd near a shaded area. No one said a word, because even the smallest sound could alert the animal. The hunters slowly spread out, kept a safe distance, and quietly waited for the buffalo to turn and expose a favorable position. When the opportunity came, one arrow was released from the bowstring. It flew silently and pierced deep into the buffalo's body, beginning the most tense stage of the hunt. The wild buffalo did not fall immediately. It staggered forward, but after moving a short distance, it gradually began to lose strength. The hunters quickly followed while keeping a safe distance, watching until the animal finally collapsed on the dry ground. In this hunt, coordination and fast reactions were just as important as the first arrow, because even a small mistake could instantly lead to danger. In another direction, the women and children continued their usual work, just like every day. They dug for wild tubers, gathered forest fruits, and searched for honey inside old tree hollows. Those tasks were not loud or dramatic, but they played an important role in Hadzabe life. The children learned naturally by following the adults, watching how they identified edible plants, recognized the movement of bees, and understood that food never comes from only one source. Even if the wild buffalo hunt failed, the baskets filled with tubers, fruits, and honey could still help the community get through the day. This flexibility allows the Hadzabe to survive in an uncertain land, where nothing is ever guaranteed. As the sun began to sink lower, the hunters returned with what they had gained after long hours of following tracks. Sometimes it was a great result from the hunt, and sometimes only a few small sources of food, but everything was accepted with a calm attitude. Beside the fire, the food was shared among everyone after a long day. There was no abundance and no elaborate meal, but each portion carried the meaning of life and community spirit. The elders, the children, and those who had joined the hunt all received their share. When night covered the savannah, the firelight became a warm place where every story was told again, from the tracks found in the morning to the moment the arrow left the bowstring. For the Hadzabe, hunting wild buffalo is not only a journey to find food for the whole community. It is also a way to pass experience, courage, and respect for nature to the next generation. They do not see themselves as rulers of this land, but as a small part of its vast rhythm of life. If this story impressed you, leave a comment about what you found most special in the way the Hadzabe survive in the wild savannah.
Ah.